thought today we'd experiment with having a practice that is not vinyasa based, that is not sun salutation based. So, of course, sun salutations are beautiful. They have a very full range of motion, that you get to move in a lot of different ways when you base through sun salutation. But I know for some people, kind of swinging the leg forward and going back and forth and going from flexion to extension or down to up um, can get difficult at times. And also being on your hands a whole lot can get difficult at times. So always know that you can modify your practice in any way. This is the joy of a home practice, which you guys are all developing, even though you're kind of working with a screen to develop it. Really, you're learning how to modify and turn your practice into just what it needs to be for you. So always ask if there's need for, I can't do this, so do you have a suggestion for that? But most importantly, trust your body. Trust what your body's telling you is good for you and not good for you. If you learn to listen closely to that interoceptive skill, really that's your best guide. So the other thing, I know I've said this before, but if you're not sure if something is good for you or not good for you, obviously first listen for pain cues. That's, especially in joints, that's one of the most important things you can look for. But also look to how the practice affects you the rest of the day. Do you feel at ease in your body, or you're like, I tweaked that or did that? So listen to the cumulative effect of your practice, not just the moment at hand in the practice, to see, are you really cultivating your best practice for yourself? And when I say this, I don't just mean in your body, I mean in your mind and in your spirit too. What kind of echo and impact is your practice having now that you're consistently practicing? And then the other thing to, more immediate in the moment, to pay attention to, if you're not sure, should I go deeper? Should I hold longer? Should I back away? Besides the pain cues, the ballast that I always pay attention to is like a three-legged stool. So the first leg is your breath. If your breath starts to get away from you, or gets to a place where you're holding your breath or you're not rhythmic, it's okay to have to breathe deeper and a little faster if you're working hard, but you should still be able to stay within the breath and not let the breath kind of climb in front of you. And it should be steady. So if that goes away, then you need to back away from whatever you're doing. And then the second stool of the three-legged stool is the feeling of stability. So whatever pose you're in, do you feel stable? Are you wobbly? And balance poses aside, I mean, you're going to be wobbly, but even within the wobble of a balance pose, is there stability in the center of your body? Is there stability in the mind? So seek stability in a posture, and there's lots of ways to modify your poses to seek stability. And then lastly, look for, before going into depth, so let's say you're in Virabhadrasana 2 and you're not sure how far to bend your knee. So besides listening to the breath and that sense of, do I feel stable, and am I having pain? The next thing to look for is there freedom? Is there a sense of spaciousness? Is my breath traveling through? Do I have the yielding? Do I have that radiation from the center outward and back again? All those kind of subtler aspects of our practice that cultivate freedom, is that present in the moment at hand? So look for the breath, look for the stability, look for the freedom. And if any of those three are not there, or if your body's giving you a pain cue, that's your cue to step away. So our ego can bypass a lot of that and say, no, don't worry about the niggle in your shoulder, keep doing the back bend. And if you keep listening to the ego mind instead of the body mind, eventually you will hit a bigger stop gate that will force you to take a pause. And at that point you might be injured. So really try your best to listen to that three-legged stool, instead of following the concept in your mind of what you should be doing. So I hope that's helpful. And today's practice is different than yesterday's, different from tomorrow's. So be here now. Okay, so let's sit up straight and tall and take a moment to settle into the posture. And maybe sitting is not comfortable for you. Maybe you'd rather go back onto your back or stand up. So whatever you're doing, let's just take a moment to soften in and come into your breath. So before we start moving, see if you can find that three-legged stool here. Connect into the breathing body. Find the steadiness of the inhale and the exhale, and even the steadiness through the pauses. Do you feel like you have to jump over the breath to switch from inhale to exhale or exhale to inhale? Try to have smoothness, steadiness. Check in with all the ways your body cultivates good, healthy breathing. Are you breathing through your nose? Is your diaphragm free? Are you letting your lungs expand to your ribs? Are your ribs able to move freely and supplely? Do you have tension in your neck or shoulders that you can drop down? Is your breath giving you the cue of this quality of freedom? So when you open the diaphragm up and breathe into the belly, feeling the groundedness of the pelvis, the spaciousness, the yielding, can you search for that essence of freedom that can live in conjunction with good breathing? Maybe you just feel it in your eyes right now, maybe just softening the face and letting there be some freedom along the ways you express. See also what it feels like to ground yourself, to feel that quality of stability. So notice where you're touching the floor. Is it your feet or ankles? Do you feel your legs anywhere touching the ground? Where do you have contact with your pelvis on the floor or on whatever support you're on, blankets or blocks? And what does the stability below and the bottom of your body give to the freedom in the upper chambers of the body, the breath, the spine? Okay, so see if you can stay in touch with these aspects of your practice today. Letting the thinking mind, the checklist, I must do this or that part of your mind kind of take the back seat. Place your hands at your heart and offer an intention. And think, what could breath, stability, and ease impact your day? How could it impact your day today outside of your practice? How can the subtleness, the inner workings of your practice feed the rest of your day in some way? And then let's release the hands and come onto your back. All right, so finding our way onto your mat. Okay. All right, and let's go ahead and stretch our arms and legs. And one of the beautiful things about a gentle yoga practice is sometimes we get to move just a little bit slower, and this is such a great thing. It not only gets us a better opportunity to be in the body in the moment, but we get to really notice things. All right, so stretch your arms overhead. Notice what your shoulders feel like. Okay, maybe you need to do something different. Maybe your arms don't like to be overhead. Stretch the left side of your body, stretch the right side of the body. Whatever you're finding, notice the invigoration for your nervous system of a good, strong stretch like this can provide. All right, and then bring the knees into the chest and rock around a little bit. Okay, so just feeling into the back, the spine, the back of the pelvis, the sacroiliac joints, the hip joints. Just swaying from side to side. All right, and then go ahead and bring your knees apart from each other and back in. And just finding that sense of noticing hip joints. How are they today? Do you have some freedom in there? Is there a little stuckness? Do you have differences between one hip or the other? And then keep the knees together and circle a few times each direction. And let this be like a massage for the sacrum. Let's spin the other way. All right, and then right knee into the chest, left leg on the floor. Let's spin some circles with your ankles now. So roll out your ankles, feel the full rotation that's available, and let this move into your feet as well, so you can wiggle the toes, get your feet open. All right, go ahead and reach that right foot down. Pick up your left knee and bring it into the chest and give it a good squeeze. And always pay attention. Wherever you're bringing your knee to your chest, is it the right place for your hip joint? Do you get any catches? Do you need to move the knee out a little bit or in a little bit to the left or right? Just find just the right flexion point for your hip joint. You can't get through a few decades in life without the head of your femur bone taking some wear and tear. So, we're born with this like smooth Zamboni ice heads of the femur bones that just have this full round glide, and things happen. So maybe you don't have such a smooth, steady femur bone, and that's okay. You just got to find the range of motion that works for you. All right, so knees back into the chest, rock one more time, and then let's go ahead and starfish open, stretch your arms and legs. Let's pause here for a moment. Put your arms in a comfortable place. Maybe overhead is not comfortable and you need your arms out to the sides. And just see what it feels like to stretch from your center outward to your edges here. And then when you're ready, squeeze all the muscles you have access to. So sometimes when I do this, I get a hip cramp immediately, like I just did. So if that happens to you, just back away. Okay. Just find a sense of squeezing, waking up some muscles, engaging what you can, and then relax and melt everything to the floor. And then find that stretch again. Navel to your edges, stretch to your hands, your feet, your crown, your tail. And then knees into the chest. Pick up your head. And then release your head back down and circle the knees again. So just finding some ease. Now we'll move a little faster through our starfishes. So arms and legs, wherever is comfortable for you. Stretch from navel to tips. Exhale, pull your head in, plug in toward the midline. One more time. Inhale, open things up. Exhale, draw things in. And then release your feet onto the floor. Arms stretched out to the side like a T. Feet wide on your mat. And just windshield wiper your knees left and right. Just getting comfortable with some rotation. How's your breath? All right, let's let this turn us all the way over onto one side and come up onto your hands and your knees. All right, so hands under shoulders, knees under hips. If your wrists are not happy, you can always take fists onto the floor. You can also have your blocks and put your forearms on blocks if your wrists are unhappy. Okay, so everything has a way to modify it, everything. So if you struggle with trying to figure out what that modification is, just ask. All right, let's move into some cat-cows, arching and rounding the spine, taking your time, noticing the vertebrae, seeing what it feels like to move your spine in the ways that feel good to you. Do you have a sense, can you ripple? Can you feel like a little wave? Either start at the crown or the tail and just see if you can sense each and every vertebrae as you go from one angle of the spine to the next. Try to feel where your shoulder blades and your neck and your pelvis all interrelate with the spine. Where are you breathing? Are you breathing? Try not to hold the breath no matter what you're doing.
All right, and then let's go ahead and swirl and move your head around, move your tail around. Maybe you want to move your shoulders, maybe you want to sway and drop in a shoulder and just see what feels good in the body. And then eventually finding your way back down to child's pose. You can take your arms however you want to take them, so whatever makes your shoulders feel best. Take a deep breath in and a deep breath away. And then spread out the hands, curl the toes under, and lengthen through the spine. Feel your sternum lift up toward the pelvis. Stretch into the base of your index fingers and thumbs, and just enjoy. Find what's here. Pedal out your feet, maybe dropping your heel down, opening up the calves a little bit more. Maybe you want to bounce a little bit. Maybe you really prefer being very still. How is that sense of breath and freedom? Where is stability living in this pose? Can you yield into your hands and your feet? Can you feel the rebound through the body? Deep inhales and exhales. And then let's walk our feet forward and come into Uttanasana. Fold in half, bend your knees as much as you want to. Feel free to swivel around your shoulders, bobble around your head, move your tail, whatever feels nice. Inhale for a halfway lift. The spine gets longer, the thigh bones move back, the shin bones move forward, extend. Let the shoulder blades move down the back a little bit. Feel the openness in the back of the legs. And feel it in your feet too. So spread open your feet. Spread the bones, lift the arches. And then melt again, fold in half. Maybe this time you can wrap your arms behind your knees and tuck your chin a little bit, only if you want. And then we are going to come up. So pause in a halfway lift, especially if you know you get a little bit dizzy on the way up. Sometimes kind of taking the way up a little slower can be helpful. And as always, if on the way up you feel like you need it, you can squeeze your hands together. If you need it extra, you can cross your thighs and squeeze your thighs, tuck your chin. All these things will lift your blood pressure up. Okay, so let's just pause here in Tadasana. Find your breath. Spread out the bones of your feet. See if you can feel yielding. So to me, yielding is the balance point of that three-legged stool. You can't yield without breath. The yielding gives you that sense of ease and freedom, but it also gives you that sense of stability. So let's just take a moment to find that, and feel free to move around a little bit. Maybe you want to sink into one foot and see what that feels like. Maybe you want to sink into the other. Maybe you want to move toward the toes or move toward the heels. Finding your breath. And as you start to experience stillness, no rush to get there, what does it feel like? Can you feel that your spine is stacked correctly over the center of your gravity? So balance things out. 4 points of your feet finding equal weight. The knees are unlocked. The pelvis is in a neutral place, not tucked under or tipping forward. Your low back is in a neutral place instead of guarded and compressed. See if you can feel that your head is over your shoulders. Play around with your weight and notice where your center lives. And when you find a hint of, oh yeah, this feels like a really good spot, it should become a little bit effortless. Maybe unfamiliar, but effortless to find where your body aligns with the center of the earth best. Go ahead and come on to, we're going to take a lunge, but you can have your back knee on the floor if you want to. So you can have your right foot forward and your left foot back, so just fine. And if deep flexion doesn't work so good for you, get higher. You can even put your hands on your knee or your hands on furniture to find what works best for you. So you can either have your back knee on the floor, or if you prefer to take the back knee up off the floor to do our range of motion that we always do to warm up our legs, So you get to decide whether you want to do this with your back knee up or your back knee on the floor. So choose and then move, breathe. So as we start to mess with, this kind of can mess with your balance a little bit. Just see what it feels like to discover your breathing, to feel your yielding, to discover where you have freedom, space, also where you feel nice and stable. Okay. Let's bring the knee back down onto the floor if it was up. We're going to take a very gentle twist. So just take your forearm to the knee and lift the spine. Stretch through the hip flexors of the back leg. If you'd rather have your knee off the floor, that's always good to do. If your knee's a little uncomfortable on the ground, and that's why you want to lift your knee up, sometimes, not always, but sometimes it can be helpful to have the edge of a blanket, maybe not this high, with your kneecap just kind of hanging just ever so slightly off the front edge of it, sometimes just a teeny bit. Sometimes that can help take pressure off your kneecap if that's what the problem is. All right, let's come out of there. Same thing, you can still have the knee on the ground or you can lift it up. Reach the arms, maybe they go up, maybe they go out. Just find an open chest. Wherever you're going, find the open chest. Try not to fall in the pose. Feel the structure, the stability, and the support. Breathing. Okay, and then release the hands down onto the ground. Okay, come onto all fours. Have some moment of a cat-cow, feeling symmetry in the body. And then we're going to take our blocks and bring our other foot forward. And maybe you want your knee on the ground, maybe you want your knee off the ground. And who says you have to do the same thing on both sides? Sometimes symmetry is nice. Sometimes if you have issues with one side and the other, you really do need or want to go into different ranges of motion. So find what's working for you and begin to move. Bending and stretching. Most importantly, that you're breathing. And place the back knee down unless you don't want to. That's all good. Come on up and just bring your forearm. It's amazing how you don't have to go very far to get a lot of openness through the iliacus and psoas muscle in that back leg, the hip flexors, and through here. Open the spine. Use the gentleness of the twist to give you the length you're looking for in your spine. So breath, freedom, space, then depth. Okay, so going deeper into a twist without the freedom and space and stability is, you're just asking for trouble. Hugging into the midline still, feeling your stable places, finding your breath. All right, and then come back around. Decide whether you want the arms up, whether you want the arms out. Maybe you want some platters, depending on how your shoulders are feeling. You might need to modify some things. Start to feel some strength in those legs. Hug your front heel and back knee toward each other. Finding your breath. And then release the hands down onto the ground. Bring that back foot forward again. Come into I'm going to keep my hands on the blocks for this, and you can too. Get a little bit more of a back bend. So almost like you can move into up dog. You can even move your pelvis forward a teeny bit. And then exhale. And round just a little bit. One more time. You can come on up. Now I have these blocks on the narrow height, which are a little less stable than this height. So just see what feels good to you. And then exhale and relax. Let's come up to stand. Fold in half if it feels good. Okay. Bend your knees and come on up. Interlace your hands behind your back. Open the chest. Let's do a standing back bend here. Just feel the chest broaden and open. Try not to push the belly forward and let the back arch. See if you can keep the stability. Open up the chest. And then relax. Shrug your shoulders a few times. Up and around. Go the other direction. All right, and then we're going to turn to the side edge of our mat and come up come out, bring your legs out to the side. So we're going to just move here, going from one side to the other. So turn your feet out just a little bit, like goddess pose feet. And we're just going to, and you can put your hands on your knees.
What I want you to sense here is how stable are my knees. When I come into just a little bit of bending, a little bit of a lunge, do I feel stable on both sides? I know my right doesn't feel as stable as my left. So maybe you have injury too that kind of, settles in the bones a little bit. So just find what you're finding. So that might mean that you have to adjust and just be up here. And if you have one leg that's a little bit more stable and one leg that's a little less, that's okay. Okay, so seek where you're stable. And then as we come into goddess pose, if you have one leg that likes to go deeper than the other, let your depth be sacrificed for your stability. So go into the side that's a little bit less stable and find stability in that leg first. Maybe you want platter arms, maybe you want arms out, maybe you want arms up. So this pose could be like 1 inch bend in the knee. This pose can be a really deep posture. So go to where you feel comfortable and stable and find your breath. Find your yielding, no matter what you're doing with your arms. Can you be upright in your body? Can you spread out the bones of your feet, yield into the earth? Find the stability, find the breath, find the ease. Okay, and then go ahead and come on out. I'm gonna come into Virabhadrasana 2. So remember, same thing goes. Maybe your posture is stable when it's high. For some people, their posture is more stable, deeper. So you have to find what's right for you. Remember, you can always use support. So one of my favorite ways is to have a block against my knee. Really, I do that on this side more, where my knee is a little bit less stable. So always you can modify in any way that you need. So we're going to the right. Find your breath. Arms do not have to be out to the side. They can be anywhere you want them to be. There's so many different choices. And I know, Sarah, there's at least one of you in here en route to have some shoulder issues. So you can find any range of motion. Experiment with a range of motion that gives you a sense of ease in your shoulders. Same with your legs. So once you find your place of where you're going to be, seek your ground, yield, find the breath. Big diaphragmatic movements, shoulders are softening down. Find stability, find ease, find breath. It doesn't matter what your pose looks like. Find the movement of your joints that make you feel stable and free. And try to be creative. So, to unlock yourself from I must do this, and instead trust the instincts of your body. You know enough about alignment now to know what's, what not to do, so that you can play within the range of what to do. Inhale, reach the arm, extend through the side, go ahead and straighten your leg while you're here. Triangle pose. Maybe your triangle pose, you keep your hands on your hips. Maybe you bring your hand down. Try not to bear weight on your leg. Be very light, open the chest. Depth is not nearly as important as stability, freedom, and breath. So if you immediately go super deep in a pose, but suddenly find that you can't breathe or you get stuck and body's not feeling very free, the best thing you can do is back away until you find just your sweet spot. Open the chest, finding the breath, shoulders are away from the ears. Can you yield? Are you able to root both feet down, even if that means your knee bends a little bit? Okay, come on up. Here's another big knee bend. So if your knee needs a little bit more stability, do you need to support it in some way? Open the chest. Maybe your arm needs to be down at your sides for your shoulders to feel good. Maybe you can just bring your arm out. Maybe bringing your arm up is not the best. So you determine what's going to take away pain cues. Listen to joint pain cues, muscle pain cues, like hard work pain cues. You can just kind of nourish them. You can be like, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. When your muscles are telling you, oh, I'm hurting because I'm working, that's a very different sensation than a joint talking to you. So listen to the right kind of pain cues. Shoulders away from the ears, stay grounded through your feet. Find your yielding. Okay, and then come on up and out to the side. Turn your feet to the long edge again. Find your breath. Notice your two sides. Then let's turn and go the other way. So your stability might be very different on one side than the other. So find the range of motion that works best for your body. Maybe going super deep isn't so good for you. Maybe going deep is better for you. Find what works. Stretch the arms out. So the pose does not need to look like right angles. It can very much, but if your joints don't like that, this is a perfectly steady and stable variation of Virabhadrasana 2. Do you want the pelvis to turn? Do you want, how does your pelvis feel most comfortable where you're not in this tug of war with yourself? You want to keep the head of the femur bone back in the joint with a little inner spiral, but that might mean you need to turn your hip a fair amount to get there. Find your breath. Where do you want the arms? Once again, seek the breath, seek the yielding, seek the stability, seek the freedom. If you can't find those things, keep changing things. Keep working with it until you feel that sense. When you give yourself permission to back away from something that's painful, can you sense the ease that comes just from that permission? Okay, inhale. Reach the arm up, open those side ribs, take a breath there, and then as you're ready, triangle pose. Maybe your hands stay on your hips, maybe your hand is close up on your thigh, maybe it's way low down to your ankle. So you find the range that's right for you, for your body. I like using a block in triangle pose, so that's always an option as well. Shoulders away from the ears. Enjoy. This is a great stretch for your inner thigh and your hamstrings. Try not to overdo that stretch. Find the yielding of your feet. And the front knee can have a little bend. It's better to have a bend than a little bend is better than a hyperextension. So find a place that your joint feels good. Shoulders away from the ears, open the chest. Breathing, stabilizing, creating space. All right, come back up. Bend the knee. Elbow can come resting, and maybe that's too low, in which case you can put a block on your knee and have this higher. For me, that's too high. My shoulder starts to creep up toward my ears, but maybe for you, that's just right. So there's always ways to modify everything. It's safe for your knee to be behind your ankle, not so safe for your knee to be above, beyond your ankle. So make sure that you're staying with the alignment cues that do matter as you find your freedom in your posture. Shoulders are away from the ears. Where do you want the arm to be? Deep breaths in. Feel the roots, the feet. Freedom, where is it? Where is it in your body? Scan for it. Create it. Okay, great. And then come back up. Come on up. Turn your feet to the long edge again. Back to your goddess feet, and we're just going to swing back and forth. And maybe you go low, where your arms can kind of slide from one side. Maybe you're much more up here, and we're just yielding into the earth and rebounding, and yielding into the earth and rebounding. So find what works for you. And then heel toe your feet in a little bit and come to a squat. Elbows can be inside your knees. I'm pretty wide here. You can go less wide than that. So you decide what works for you. Feel the work. So this is such a great pose to really feel oomph, to get into a stable place, and your butt can be higher than your knees or in line with your knees. But let your legs do some work. Okay, they like to do work. They're strong. Spread out the bones of your feet. Extend the spine. Feel the strength of your quads, your hamstrings, your glutes. Okay, and then go ahead and push up. Standing starfish. Open yourself up. And then heel toe your feet in. If you're dizzy, tuck the chin, squeeze the hands, finding your breath. Deep inhale and exhale. Relax your arms down. Pause and breathe. Find your yielding again. So take the time to be in Tadasana sometimes to discover your alignment, where that plumb line through your body lands to the earth with the most efficiency. The more we can discover this in different planes, this efficiency is the connection of stability and ease. It happens when we're in that vein, when we live in that river, we become more stable and free. Let's find a balanced posture. So root into your right foot. You can turn your left foot out and keep your foot on the ground. So this is a nice stable place to be in tree pose. I think this is actually harder in the hip, more work in the hip to have the foot down than to have the foot up. But you discover what's working for your body. Okay, so if you're, no matter what you're doing, try not to stick the hip out, soften the knee, hug the hip in, take the thigh bone back. Can you still feel that plumb line of efficiency that you just cultivated in Tadasana? Where do you want your arms to be? Try not to hold on for dear life. Who cares if you fall over? The worst thing that's going to happen is your foot's going to come down to the ground. So discharge the need for steadiness in the body and replace it with steadiness in the mind. Okay, unwind that, put your foot down onto the ground. You can swivel or sway or move in any way that's gonna free up your hips, free up your posture. And then we're gonna go to the second side. So root into your left foot. You can turn your left toes or right toes out. Maybe you wanna stay with 2 feet on the ground. This is such a beautiful way of practicing tree pose. A lot of stability in here, a lot of work, deep work in the hips to stay here. Find your breath, try not to stick the hip out, hips in. So no matter whether your foot is up or whether your foot is down, is your knee soft? Your standing knee, is it soft? Is your hip in? And if you start to like wobble, it's okay. Just see what you can do to find yourself coming back to the center. Feel your plumb line. Deep breaths in and away. Stability and ease. Steadiness in the mind, even if the body's wobbly. Try not to hold the breath to steady yourself. This is a misinformation. Sometimes we think if we just hold our breath, we won't move. But the breath gives us this ability to feel, to yield, to get more grounded. Okay, and then unwind the foot. Bounce, sway, anything that feels nice. Finding your breathing again. Find your Tadasana. Deep inhale and exhale. Let's find one more time a standing back bend. Maybe you lift your arms up and lean back. Maybe open the arms to a cactus. Maybe arms out. And then exhale and bend your knees a lot. Fold in half. Feel free to swivel around, move your shoulders, move your neck, move your tail. And then we're going to come down onto all fours and find your way into a cat-cow. And maybe some swivels through your hips to see what feels nice in your body. We're going to find our way into child's pose. Maybe your child's pose isn't comfortable and you'd rather do a different pose. Maybe your arms want to come down at your sides instead of up over your head. Deep breaths in and away. All right, let's come out of there. We're going to come onto our back. We're going to do some work to stabilize our pelvis. And being that, we're skipping the vinyasa, in order to get a little bit more extension through the spine, we're going to do bridge pose. Okay, so it's a great back bend. It's pretty stable for most parts of your body.
Some back bends with the arms overhead are a little challenging on the shoulders. Some back bends that are on the belly are a little bit challenging on the low back. This one seems like a very good neutral back bend to be in for most people. So I hope it's that way for you. Feet are hip width apart. If you want to, play around like we were working with last week with trying to find the different gluteal muscles, you can pull your feet away from each other to stimulate the engagement of your gluteus medius and minimus, and then lift your pelvis up to find your gluteus maximus. You don't have to do that. There's so many different ways of playing in this posture. Maybe try rolling your shoulders under. How does that make your shoulders and neck feel? If you feel any compression in your neck, back away from the wrapping of your shoulder blades toward each other and give your neck a little room. You should feel that the back of your neck is not pushed into the floor. There should be a neutral cervical spine curve there. How are your legs? Can you feel your feet? Are you able to yield? Are your muscles fully active? Your glutes, all three of them, your inner thighs, your quads, your hamstrings. Can you find that everything is working for the pose? Deep and stable for the pelvis. Find your breath. Find your yielding. Where are you stable? Where are you free? How is your breath relating to those things? So there's ways to strengthen the muscles in your legs that are not just standing poses. So, you can hang out in bridge pose for a long time or do some up-down movements. So let's go ahead and rest down now. If you lift up and down, which we're going to do in just a moment. So let your shoulders unwind for a second, just lay on the floor. When we move our pelvis up and down steadily in moving bridges, it's a very good way of trying to notice how does my pelvis like to move? A lot of times we have a little pelvic torsion going on where we lift a hip and turn a hip forward, depending on how we sit, how we stand, what we do with our bodies. So the bridge pose is the great equalizer. It helps you see, oh, I'm stronger on that side. I move that side faster. I have more nervous system control on that side. So let's pay attention as we inhale to lift the pelvis up. Where is your dominance, left or right? What muscle groups have, say, I got this, I can do this. What muscle groups are like, yeah, I don't really got this. I think I'll take a back seat. And just see if you can turn everything online. When you come up and down, there's very different contractions going on in the body. Eccentrics on the way down can almost be harder. So let's move slowly as you move your pelvis up and down. Of course, keep your chest open, but don't worry so much about a deep rocking underneath of the shoulder blades. Find a comfortable position for your shoulders to be in so that you can focus on the movement of your pelvis up and down. Okay, are you breathing? Where do you feel stable? Do your feet feel stable when you do this? Where do you feel free? Are you able to relax your throat and your eyes? Can you enjoy this? Befriending all the muscles in your pelvis, getting to know how your body moves. Can this be enjoyable? As the last time, slowly moving up or wherever you're at, and slowly moving down. All right, once you are down, take your time, unwind your shoulders, let them be easy, and don't pull your knees super far. Have straight arms so that your knees are slightly pulled in, not really tucked in just yet, and just rock. So straight arms. You're just hooking your fingertips on the back side of your kneecaps so that you have a little grip spot, but we're not pulling the knees deep in yet. Just rocking side to side. Okay, put your feet down, wider than your hips, a teeny bit, and let's windshield wiper our knees. Once again, just letting some movement happen, freeing up some of the ways that back bends tends to compress the sacroiliac joints. Just get some freedom in there. And then grab your strap and let's go ahead and lift your right leg into the strap up in the air. Move your right hip away from your shoulder, so we're still not compressing the knee toward the chest just yet. We will, but sometimes when you've done the back bending little bit of a series like we just did, you want to resist the urge to go into deep flexion right away. Give your spine a little chance to find neutral first. Extend the spine, breathing deeply. Okay, we're going to take the strap in the right hand, open the leg out to the right. Are you stable through the left side of your body? And does your stability come at the sacrifice of your breath? So if you go real far with your right leg to the point where you have to kind of grip and push the whole left side of your body down, chances are you just lost your breath. So back away from the depth until you are able to sink the left side of your body into the floor with breath. Great, and then lift that leg straight up in the air. Strap comes into the left hand, cross the right leg left. Maybe your right hand wants to hang out in the hip crease. Maybe you want to have your arm out to the side. Notice if you get a little lost in your pelvis here, inner spiral the thighs, head of the femur bone back, crown and tail moving away from each other. Deepen your breath. And then go ahead and come back up and switch legs. So left foot in the strap, right foot can be on the floor, right leg can be on the floor. You decide where your range of motion is. So sometimes extending the leg can be too much, where you feel like you have a little tug of war in your pelvis going on. So if you want to try it, bending your right knee, just notice the difference. Even if you aren't going to stay there, put your right foot on the ground and just notice the ease in your pelvis in this position versus having your leg straight. So depth is not always best for your body. See what feels best for your body. 2 hands on the strap, 1 hand on the strap, whatever feels good. Extend the spine. Lift the leg, root the hip. Find your breathing. And we're going to take the strap into the left hand now. Left leg coming out, right side of the body rooted and grounded, whether your leg is straight or knee is bent. Can you ease your right side into the ground? Are you breathing while you do this? Take the left leg as deep as it will go while you're able to stay stable, free, and breathing on the right side. And then inhale and lift that left leg up, cross over, put the strap in the right hand. Maybe the left hand hangs out in the hip crease, maybe the left hand goes out to the side. Stretch through the left big toe and the inner heel. Keep moving your left hip away from the shoulder. Reach the crown and tail away from each other. Find your breathing. And then we're going to lift that leg back up. Take the strap off. Knees into the chest. Rock around maybe a teeny bit deeper. Still not super deep yet, but maybe you can have your hands wrapped around your knees instead of just your fingertips. And now we're going to come into reverse pigeon pose. So right foot on left knee. You can always cross thigh over thigh if you'd rather do that hip stretch. So whichever feels best for your body. And reach and grab either behind your left thigh. And you know, another way to modify this is if this is too far away, you can take a strap around your hamstring and hold the strap, or you can put this foot, your left foot, on a wall or a piece of furniture so that you don't have to hold yourself. So find what works for your body. For some people, even having your left foot on the floor and just, you know, bringing your right knee out to the side can be enough. So you just discover where into that depth your body needs to go. So remember, before depth, we find our breath, we find the ease and freedom, we find where we are stable. So what does stability look like in a pose like this? Is your spine long? Is your pelvis balanced, or are you hiking the right hip way up toward the ear? Is there a sense of a neutral lumbar curve? There's all sorts of little places you can find that you want to structurally stabilize, and then you just go as deep as your body goes from those places. All right, and then let's unwind the legs. Stretch 2 legs on the floor for a moment. Extend. And then when we're ready, let's take the second side. So maybe your right foot wants to be on the floor or on a piece of furniture. Left foot on your knee. Maybe your thighs are crossing over your thighs. So you decide where you're going in this pose. If you're grabbing on, do you want to grab on behind your hamstring? Do you need a strap? Can you reach your shin? So just discover what's best, what's giving you freedom, breath, and stability. Seek the long spine, the balanced pelvis, the neutral low back. Seek the wide sit bones, the active foot on your knee. Seek ease in your neck, in your breath, in your eyes, in your jaw. Can the exhales be long and steady? And then let's go ahead and release. Put your feet on the ground, stretch your legs straight for a moment. Maybe come back to the first pose we always do, stretch your arms, long spine. And then pick up your knees, feet on the ground. We're going to do a twist. Lift your hips up, scooch them right, knees up, drop them left. Deep breath in. How do your shoulders feel in this pose? Do you need to change something? Is your neck okay? Do you need support under your head? Do you need support underneath the outer left shin so that you don't go too far in the twist? Just find what's right for you. Deep breath in, deep breath out. Inhale and lift the knees back up. Head pointing straight up toward the sky. Pause here for a moment. Breathe in the neutral zone. And then let's scooch the hips over left. Pick up knees and drop them right. Deep inhale, deep exhale. And then inhale and bring those knees back up. One more time, neutral. Readjust your spine, neutral spine. Deep breaths. And then we're going to now, finally, we get to bring our knees tight in if we want. You may not even have the urge anymore. So either bring your knees to your chest and rock. This is one way to ease the spine. Maybe you want to go deeper and come into happy baby pose where you hold your feet and potentially rock or be still. So experiment with how deep a flexion your body's looking for. And then as we find our way into Shavasana, first, before we go there, put your feet on the ground and just let your spine be nice and neutral. You can do just a little bit of pelvic rocking, so you can tuck the tail and you can untuck the tail. and just find that neutral place. You can just move your pelvis around until you feel things ease up. And then depending on how you feel, maybe you want blankets or props underneath your knees for Shavasana. Maybe you want to be flat. Where do you want your arms and legs? So as you find your way into a relaxed posture, just have some deep gratitude for the presence of stability in your mind and in your body and in your life. Have some deep gratitude for the way freedom shows up. And, maybe in these strange times we're paying attention to the subtleties of what freedom and stability feel like. So how does freedom show up in your body, your mind, and your life? And can you infuse all of this gratitude with your breath? Start to melt the body down as best as you can.
The eyes are soft. The jaw is soft. And breath is deep and full, letting the whole body yield into the earth. Let's begin to deepen our breathing. Take your time. There's no rush here to move fast or far. Find your breath. Melt into the breath. Maybe begin to move the extremities. You can wiggle your toes or stretch in any way that serves you best. Find your way into some broader movements, eventually finding your way to your side. As you're ready, use your arms to help lift yourself upright. As we come to a seated posture, once again, feel that sense of stability. Feel the breath. Feel the ease. Let's offer these forces, these energetic forces within us. This is what we want to share. We want to share feeling stable, feeling free, feeling that sense of flow with the breath. Share this energy with others. Namaste. Thank you, everyone.